As is the case, I suspect with a lot of people that get into poetry, my angry teens, um, where it feels like it's all too much and not enough, and I'm angry about everything and nothing makes sense, and I know everything. Um, so that was when I started writing poetry. I had a lot of body image issues growing up. Um, and poetry felt like where I could safely say what I needed to say, express what I needed to express without anybody saying anything back because it was poetry. It was art. I'm sorry, but you can't have an opinion about it.
Yeah.
And so it started off just as writing in my journals and, not for anybody to see. And then a teacher stumbled upon my work, my English teacher, and he just fell in love with it and he kept encouraging me to write. And then my Kiswahili teacher stumbled upon my Kiswahili poems and called shairis in Kiswahili, and he wanted me to write more. And I thought, oh, okay, so maybe there's something to my writing. Cool, I'll keep writing. And then fast forward to after high school, maybe 5, 6 years after high school, I got into the Nairobi art scene, poetry scene, and I took part in a couple of like poetry events, spoken word events. And then really fast forward to like COVID times, and then I wrote my first book. And I was, I wanted to celebrate the spirit of the feminine. I wanted to celebrate everything that is um woman, that is feminine. It started off as a desire to celebrate my mother when she turned 50, but I missed that mark. And so I kept writing though. And then during COVID, I was homeless, I was jobless, I had like nothing going on but big dreams. Um, and a friend of mine reached out to me and she was like, Kai, you've been talking about like putting together this book. This is when medicine is only effective when it is available for people to take it. Can you make your medicine available? I was like, yes, ma'am. So, so I set about to it, and in about a month and a half, I had my manuscript. I sent it to the publisher. They loved it. It got published, and that was in 2020. And I'm now currently working on this is a co-authorship with a friend of mine. This is a children's book. We're still trying to figure out what age, but it's a children's book. And because of how we both are, we're very nature inclined. We're very interested in the trees and the birds and the bees and and the dogs and the everything. So it's very nature based, this book. But yeah, that would be my second uh book. But yeah, that's my journey with poetry. I would say, yeah, actually, I do have a tip. Um, I would say write like nobody's ever going to read your work. Write it for yourself. Write it like nobody will ever see your work and have an opinion about it. Just write it like you hear it, like you feel it exactly in your own voice. Just write and start with free writing. Just like let your hand go, let your thoughts go, and let that translation happen between your hand and the pen or between your hand and the typing pad. But just go, just start, and then see what happened. Like anything else is a skill that you get better at as you move along. But what makes my poetry different from the next person is that it's in my voice. That you read it and you're like, that, yeah, that's definitely Kai, you know? And that's the muscle you want to grow strong at the beginning. Styles and all of that, that comes along the way. But like hone the ability to speak in your own voice. That is such a good question. Okay. So the place where poetry, emotion, and nature meet is what you're asking about, right?
Yeah.
Um, for me, I think I would say it's I think we all see the world through different lenses. Some of us are more pragmatic, more scientific thinkers. Some of us are more artistic thinkers. Some of us are more, I see poetry in everything. You know, I listen to a person speak and I very easily catch the patterns of their speech. I I'm in a place for several seasons and I easily see the patterns of that context. And there's something of poetry that is about patterns. It's about playing with the patterns of words, playing with the patterns of meaning, and doing so in a way that can tell a story that goes even beyond those words, that travels into the parts of our imagination that at times are stifled, bringing those places to life, traveling to the places in our emotions that are begging to be set free, are wanting to rise to the surface and saying, look, here, you're unshackled, go. And I feel like nature, being in natural spaces, being in forests, I mean, there's natural spaces go beyond the forest, but the reason why I talk about the forest is because that's like home. I feel so at home in the mountains, in the forests. And for me, being in the forest and seeing the way the plants interact with each other, the way they dance with each other, the just the poetry of their dance with the sun, you know, all these different plants, these different leaf structures, interacting with the sun, interacting with each other, supporting each other. Um, the dance between life and death, the inevitable dance between life and death, and how it facilitates, how death facilitates life and life facilitates death. And when it's happening well, each of them is fertilizing the other. But all of that to me is poetry, you know. And so if I am so blessed as to be able to bring that back and pack it into words on a piece of paper, on a screen, and be able to translate that and share it with someone that wasn't there to see what I saw, wasn't there to feel what I felt, but I'm able to bring that to them and they can feel what I felt or something that comes close to what I felt. Create a familiarity between them and the forest, act as the channel, the vessel through which they get to experience that. Ah, that's it.